We are going to talk about how to make mitten using a 22. This mitten only has a seam here and a seam on this side. We will use a panel setting to make the thumb, and this is a double-sided mitten, so it's thick and nice, and the thumb is attached comfortably. The row count for this mitt will be for a big hand. So I will have for each layer a total of 70 rows. However, from row 41, we will start working on the thumb. So first of all, we cast on without using waste yarn, because we are going to do a circular closing at the end of the mitt. We will close it like this with a cinch ending. So we cast on our machine. We make sure that our counter goes to 0, and we are going to do 40 rows of this color. I tried doing a mitt using a 48 pin and a 40 pin, and this is the one that gives me the best results. They are nice and thick, and they are not too loose. I will see you when we get the 40 rows to show you the next step. I have the 40 rows for what will be the length of the hand all the way to the thumb. As I mentioned, 40 rows is for a larger hand. So what we did is this part here all the way to the thumb. Okay, now we are going to work on the thumb using only from pin number 1 all the way until pin number 8. And we are going to work on those 8 pins in a panel setting instead of a tube setting. And we are just going to keep 3 pins on the right and 3 on the left on hold until we are done with the 38 rows for the thumb of this large mitten. When you are done with the 40 rows, we are going to start working on the thumb. I find that 8 stitches for the thumb are good enough. It may show a little bit thicker, but when you put your finger inside, it's actually pretty comfortable. So I made mine with 8 stitches using a panel setting. I put a mark on number 8 so I don't go over. So let's start with this. We put our counter in 0, and we are going to work a total of 38 rows for that thumb, because this is a big glove. I will post afterwards the row count for a smaller glove. So we start going all the way to number 8. So 7 and 8. This is my last peg, but as you know, for panel setting, you have to make sure that this thread goes underneath this peg in order to be able to catch and do a nice edge. So you will keep going a little bit more until the yarn goes under, and then you will go back. But when you go back, these 3 pegs that already went up are going to lose the thread that is underneath. Therefore, you will need to put them on hold. So I go back, I tug a little bit the thread so it doesn't come out, and I start knitting on my number 8. But as I mentioned before, you will need to put on hold number 9. So you use a little bit of yarn, number 9, number 10, and number 11. You put it on hold and you just keep going until your peg number 1. We are back on number 1, but we need to do the same. We have to go a little bit further to make sure that this thread goes underneath this peg. And we can have a nice edge. And there it goes. But as you see, these 3 pegs went up. Therefore, we have to put them on hold as well. So let's go back a little bit. So these ones go down, and we take our needle and we will put the last 3 pegs on hold. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay. With these 3 on this side and 3 on this side on hold, now we can keep working on our panel setting. And we will, I don't need my mark anymore. And we will keep doing it until we get a total of 38 rows. So I will see you when we get to row number 38. We are in row number 37, so I will do my row number 38, and when we get here, what we are going to do is we are going to put back the 3 stitches that we took out. I like to use a thread that is a very different color than the original one. When you put it back, make sure that you are not twisting it. There is 1, and I pull my thread out of that one. Make sure also that you don't split the thread. That's my second one. Let's take this off. And here is my third one. And I put it on and I remove my thread. Now, when this one goes down, just make sure that you tug this one at the front of these pegs, like here. Use your attachment to make sure that this one attaches at the front, like around these pegs, and it doesn't go underneath the thread. You do the same with the 3 stitches that you just put back. And third one. Sometimes it needs a little bit of a tuck, and like that. Oops, it's catching there. Okay, and you keep going until you get to the next 3. 1, 2, 3. We will do the same process as on the other side. We are going to reattach the 3 loops that were put on hold, making sure that every loop goes around the 2 pegs, and making sure also that we are leaving the thread or getting the thread going underneath each one of the pegs. And we keep working until we have those 3 pegs attached, and we are going to restart our counter to do the next part of it, which is the rest of the hand. So I turn it to 0, and I will do 17 extra rows, which will be the rows that will cover from this side of the thumb up to here, and then we will work on a cuff. From this side up to here, and then we will work on a cuff. See you in a bit. 17 rows. Before I go to my 17 rows, I forgot to show you how this panel looks like. You see all the edges are perfectly attached, and this, what we'll do is we'll hold the thumb in the middle. We will sew the sides, and then you will have a thumb in the middle. Okay, so we will keep going until we get 17 rows. See you in a bit. Now I am going to work on a cuff for this glove, because this is a pattern yarn. You cannot see very well the cuff on this side, or the pattern that I use, but this is the inside of that cuff. So up to here there are 17 rows. Up to here there are 17 rows. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to work 4 more rows in gray, 2 in white, 1 in gray, 2 in white, and 4 rows in gray. And then that will be the first side, the inside of my mitten. And then I will start working when I am done with 4, 2, 1, 2, 4. I will start working on the other side of my mitten with the same cuff, 4, 2, 1, 2, and 4. That will be the cuff for the right side of that mitten. So I will see you when I am done with both sides of the cuff. We have 13 rows on this side and 13 more rows on this side. And the pattern that I use for each one of those 13 rows is 4 of gray, 2 of white, 1 of gray, 2 of white, and 4 of gray. I will see you when we are on this side of the cuff. I have 2 sets of the cuffs with the combination of 4 rows of gray, 2 of white, 1 of gray, 2 of white, and 4 rows of gray. And that puts me on the second cuff on number 13. Now I am going to make a change of colors, and I am going to put this one, the one that changes by itself. Everybody does the color change in a different way. The way I do it is when I get to the first peg, I put my new color like this. I do a little loose double knot. Okay. Turn my my counter back to 0, and I am going to work 17 rows with this new color. Now I'm working, instead of working from the top of my hand to the bottom, I am working from the bottom to the thumb. So on my first row, I usually hold the knot down just to make sure that everything is going in perfectly. And now I apply a little bit of tension, and I will continue knitting until I get 17 rows of it. So with the first part of the glove, I started from the top and it will go with a cinch end. And now I am starting the other side of the glove or the mitt from the bottom, but it's all one piece. So I will see you when I have 17. I am on my row number 17, so now it is time to work on the thumb. So once again, we work from peg number 1 all the way to peg number 8. I just put a marker, so I know that I don't have to go further than that. And then we will start our counter, and we will work 38 rows for the thumb. Remember, this is a big mitten, it's for big hands, so that's why the thumb is going to be a little bit larger than usual. So from peg number 1 to peg number 8. And this is number 8. As I told you before, we have to make sure that this thread goes underneath this knob. So we just keep going a little bit further. It went down, but as you saw, these 3 went up. So we will make sure that we put on hold these 3 threads, or the pegs. Okay, so we are sure now that it is going under, and I will put these 3 on hold. So it will be number 9, 10, and 11. Okay, and we put them on hold. I don't need my marker anymore because now I can see it and go backwards all the way to number 1. And when we get here, we make sure that this thread goes all the way underneath this knob. So we keep going until that happens, but then these 3 pegs are going up, so we will put those on hold as well. And it will be from peg 22, which is the last one, 21, and 20. With those on hold, now we have our 8 pegs for the thumb, and we will keep working until we get 38 rows. Always when you get to the end of your row, make sure that when you are turning back, you give your yarn a little tug just to make sure that the edges are nice and clean, and that last peg is catching your yarn. Okay, and we keep going until we get to 38. I will see you then.